With its appearance in the hands of bad guys in video games, TV shows and movies, and even in real life, the Tech-9 became known as a bad guy's gun. Plagued with reports of unreliability and inaccuracy within the gun community, it just became known as a bad gun. Both of these factors would lead to the evolution and eventually the downfall of the pistol and the company that made it. This is the history of the Tech-9. If you haven't figured out by now, I like firearms. Every firearm has something about them that is interesting, although I haven't found that in High Point yet. Anyway, a while back I became the owner of an infamous Tech-9. That's right, the firearm seen as a gangster gun, one that frequently jams and when it's firing, it's very inaccurate. In short, I like mine. I've put hundreds of rounds through it with no problems. Accuracy was spot on at 20 feet. At 40, I was at least hitting the target. Regardless of how cool the little thing is, history, information, and age details were hard to find and all over the place. In all of my gun books, the Tech-9 wasn't mentioned once, so I've compiled as much information as I could and put it here in the event anyone is looking for what I was. The company all started back in Sweden. In the early 1980s, the company Interdynamic AB created a firearm known as the Interdynamic MP9. It was designed to be made cheaply, being made out of plastic and stamped steel. The full auto subgun was intended to be for military use, but no one showed much interest. The company decided that they wanted to continue the design, so they made an updated open-bolt semi-auto version known as the KG9 after opening a subsidiary company in the US. The company, located in Miami, Florida, became known as Interdynamic USA. Pretty soon after the simple blowback firearm was on the market, the ATF stepped in and banned the firearm after only 2,500 were made, stating that it was too easy to convert to fully automatic. KG stands for the company's founders George Kelgern and Carlos Garcia. The company redesigned the firearm to fire from a closed bolt, and it was renamed the KG99. Around this time, George Kelgern, current founder of Keltec, left the company. Carlos Garcia stepped in and renamed the company Intratec. Soon, the firearm became known as the Tech-9. After that, the firearm started to become seen as a bad thing in the eyes of many. Not only was it used by the bad guys in the TV show Miami Vice, but it started to become used by bad people in real life as well. It was seen used in multiple well-known shootings, including the one at Columbine High School. After the Cleveland school massacre, the Tech-9 was added to California's list of banned weapons. Garcia was resilient though, and rebranded and renamed the firearm the Tech DC-9. The DC stood for Designated for California. In 1994, the manufacture of the Tech-9 was officially banned with the assault weapons ban. Still, the company did not give up. The Tech-9 was completely redesigned cosmetically to meet the requirements to not fall into a banned category. Features such as the threaded barrel, barrel shroud, and forward pistol grip were dropped. These were known as the AB-10, which were sold with 10-round magazines, though they could accept the higher capacity ones from previous models. AB stood for After Ban. Time went on, but eventually the company went out of business. They finally dissolved in 2002. Tech-9s can obviously still be found today for sale, and they are legal to own so long as you follow all the ATF and state laws regarding magazine capacity and stuff like that. The more original ones are said to be more reliable. You could still find them relatively inexpensive, but as time goes on, prices are increasing. While these were cheap to make at one point, they now have that cool and collector's factor going for them. Anything pre-ban typically commands a premium as well, even if it's something that could still be made today. While it may be a gangster gun, it does have that cool factor. One of the issues I had with mine when I got it was not knowing the date of manufacture. Of course, since the company no longer exists, I couldn't just call them up, give them a serial number, and ask when it was made. For this, you have to do a bit of digging to find out what features your Tech-9 has, when those were changed, added, and so on. To make that digging easier, I have compiled here what I have found to be some useful information. While there are a few submodels that exist, I'll talk just about the standard Tech-9. The first Tech-9s that were made in 1984 were not too different from the previous KG-9s. The major change would be that the front sight was changed to a simple button sight. Only months after, people were damaging the firearms by shooting +P ammunition in them. To fix that, the previous recoil buffer was replaced with a threaded metal end cap. In 1987, the company went bankrupt after a lawsuit. This is where things started to go wrong with the firearms in terms of reliability. So if you find that you have a model made before 1987, if you use factory magazines and regular old 115 grain ball ammo, you should be fine and you have a good firearm. One of the first changes made was the sights. The button sight was gone and replaced with a spot-welded stamped sight. The Tech 9 remained pretty much the same until about 1991 or 1992, when the pistol became the Tech DC-9. At this point, the biggest change was the sling points. Instead of 2 on the upper, it was changed to 1 point attached between the upper and lower. After that came the AB-10. So to help you date your Tech 9 a little better, here are those key features listed to help you find the best date range of your firearm. Front button sight was from 1984 to mid-1987. Those are one of the originals. The stamped front sight with 2 sling mounts on the upper were from mid-1987 to 1991 or 1992. A stamped front sight with a single sling mount was from 1991 or 2 to 1994. This was one of my most popular written posts on my blog, The Random Firearm. Since posting it, 2 people have contacted me with very rare examples of Tech 9s. They have allowed me to show them. Gil, out of Ohio, has what appears to be an original KG99 SS. It has a beautiful stainless finish, threaded barrel, closed bolt, and a specific front sight. If it is an original KG99 SS, less than 100 were made. Mike, in Texas, has what appears to be a KG99 police model. Being unfamiliar with the model, he showed me a copy of the April edition of the Gun World magazine from 1983. That has it predominantly displayed on the front cover. His firearm appears to have the correct front sight, the correct compensator, but his rear sight is very complex. We couldn't really figure out where it came from, but the rest of the firearm appears to be original.
Click, click.
I hope that all of this information was helpful and that you were able to learn something about your current or future Tech 9. Like what you saw? Please consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up. Share it with your friends, it helps a lot. Facebook, Twitter, and website links are all in the description. I can't make videos as much as I used to due to a very busy work schedule and YouTube demonetizing most of my firearm videos. But that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.